Good evening, my non-existent viewers. I'm here today with another double review. For the past few weeks, I've been excited to see, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. But I told myself, you guys seem to like these double reviews I've been doing my channel within the past few months. And I figured if I'm gonna see, the next Doctor Strange movie, a very highly anticipated, very hyped, upcoming new MCU release, I might as well make a double review with that and a lesser known movie that's gone under the nose for most people and is very under the radar in terms of new releases and stuff like that. So I decided I'm gonna save my review for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But first, we're going to discuss Crush, which is a Hulu original movie starring Rowan Blanchard, Ali Carvalho, Isabella Ferreira. I'm probably mispronounced that. Forgive me, and some other cool kids. And I figured, one is a coming of age, romantic comedy, and the other is, of course, the latest MCU movie. So let's begin. I follow Ali Carvalho on Instagram and Twitter, and I saw her promoting this movie that's like a Hulu exclusive on her Instagram page, and I was like, watch the trailer, and I said to myself, okay, Moana's actress playing an emo girl in a lesbian comedy, I'm gonna have some fun with this. And yeah, we've seen plenty of these kind of movies before. It's a romantic comedy and it's a coming of age story. The whole movie's pretty much from the perspective of Rowan Blanchard's character named Paige, and she's a lesbian. Her family's very supportive, and she's got and as the title of the movie suggests, she's got a crush both on Ali Carvalho's character AJ and her sister, and a lot of just dramatic, teenage stuff goes down from there. And watching it, I was definitely laughing a lot at some of the jokes in this movie because of how unrealistic it is. The way it portrays teenagers and their relationships with their parents, and also the high school teachers and the principal in the movie. You have to suspend a lot of disbelief because the main plot is that Paige has been framed by some mysterious artist named King Pun, and everyone thinks that she's King Pun. The principal's oh, you gotta figure out who, if you gotta prove yourself innocent or we're gonna suspend you. So it's okay, well, I'm gonna join track. She's going for art school and she's struggling with her art applications. That's where she makes friends with AJ, Ali Carvalho's character, and they there's they sort of have a mentor student relationship, running track and passing batons. As someone who ran cross country for 4 years in high school, I really like seeing that dynamic. But again, there's some things where it's you gotta suspend your disbelief because the coach in this movie makes some very suggestive off-color comments both to the students and to their parents. And Paige's mom in this movie is the definition of a permissive parent. There's authoritarian parents who are very strict and very protective and have a lot of rules and are very no no no, while there's permissive parents where it's yeah, drink, smoke, have sex, I'll get you condoms, I'll get you whatever you want, those kind of parents. There's authoritative parents who is kind of the happy middle ground between those two. Yeah, her mom is one of the most entertaining characters in the entire movie. So is her dynamic with the track coach. And there's dramatic scenes. I think it balances out pretty well. I mean, Ali Carvalho is one of my favorite actresses. She slayed as Moana, and she's also really good on the NBC TV show Rise a few years ago. So anything that she's in, I get very excited for. And like I said, you have to suspend a lot of disbelief. The narrative, it's pretty wonky, pretty uneven at moments, and it is ultimately, it's nothing I've seen before. It's a very cute love story, albeit not the most original love story in the world. We've seen LGBT, Q plus, coming of age stories before, with Love, Simon and movies like that. But yeah, overall, I gotta say, I was laughing pretty hard at a few scenes with Crush, and I had a good time watching it, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 stars. It's a likable film. Now, on to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I know this movie's been getting kind of mixed receptions from, critics and the fans alike. People are saying oh, it's great, it's garbage, to they're kind of unsure. Lots of people have had different thoughts on this. This is kind of a hot take of mine. I actually like this Doctor Strange movie more than the first one that came out back in 2016. It's set right after the events of No Way Home, and Stephen Strange is dealing with the multiverse, and he meets America Chavez, this kid from a different universe that he's seen in his dreams, but turns out those aren't dreams, those are real alternate dimensions that he has to go through. And there's Elizabeth Olsen returning as Scarlet Witch, and they're just like, hopping across different dimensions and going on this grand adventure together. And I gotta say, the two best parts about this movie, performance wise, were, Stephen Strange's like dynamic with America Chavez and Elizabeth Olsen as, Wanda. I don't have Disney Plus. I regret not watching WandaVision before going to see this movie because, like, you've seen like how far Scarlet Witch has come since her introduction in Age of Ultron. She's lost Quicksilver, she's lost Vision, and she's just like, you've seen this in the trailer. Like, there's, the Wanda that we all know and love, and there's this like evil alternate Wanda from like another universe who's like the main villain in this movie. And yeah, it's like Elizabeth Olsen plays both dynamics excellently. And America Chavez, I love that, like, she's this kid who can like who has the power to like go across different dimensions. And you see that like first fight scene in the trailer with like the whole tentacle monster in the city that Doctor Strange has to defeat. And I really like how this isn't like shoved in their faces. This is just like a little remark that I've noticed. I love how like they introduced like a brand new character with a brand new actress. This is her big break, and it's like this is a young like Latina character in an MCU movie instead of like this thing they've been doing in like Marvel comics for the past few years now. Instead of making like female or black or like gay versions of already existing characters, they introduced a brand new character that's like young and Latina, that is like of those more like marginalized identities, so to speak, instead of just like taking a character we already know and love and just like, hey, we're slapping like a new identity on it just to pander to like the whole woke crowd, I guess. Like, no, that's not what they did this time. And I feel like this is pretty redundant at this point, but the visuals in this film are so on point. It's like, I was totally blown away by the special effects in the first Doctor Strange movie. This one takes it up even to a next level. It's probably going to receive an Oscar nomination for Best Visual Effects. Like Sam Raimi, he's really got that knack as a director for action, comedy, and horror. People are saying this is like one of the scarier, like bloodier MCU movies. Believe the people who are saying that, they were right. Like some moments in this film, of course, it's not like balls to the walls hard, but it's like, ooh, like that was creepy, like that got under my skin. And Danny Elfman with the score was like just it slapped it. It's got that signature like Danny Elfman style with that couples great with the superhero aspect and like the scarier aspects and the more comedic aspects. Like he's truly one of a kind as a composer, Danny Elfman. And the action scenes are very well executed, and was just like overall, it was the script. I will say this: I can see why people don't really care for this movie or say that, hey, Doctor Strange works better as like a supporting character with the other Avengers. I can see why they're getting that, but like I think Doctor Strange deserved like another standalone movie. Like in the first scenes, like we see like kind of the regrets he's going through. Like people, like other characters are like, hey, like you let this happen, you let the whole blip happen for 5 years, in Infinity War, and it's like you can see the regret, and like people are wondering whether Doctor Strange truly is like a superhero or if he's actually more of a villain than anything else. There's some very like thought-provoking like lines from the script in this film, and I have a little confession to make. My excitement for like new MCU movies has kind of faded over the years. Like I talked about this last week in my Would You Rather Wednesday poll and on Twitter. The first Avengers turned 10 years old last week. That to this day is still my favorite superhero movie of all time, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I just remember in middle school being so excited to see the Avengers, and it's so interesting seeing how far the MCU has come since then, how far they keep topping themselves. We've gotten Civil War, we've gotten Infinity War, we've gotten Endgame, we got No Way Home this past December. It seems to be like, ever since Endgame was released, I feel like this is as high as like the MCU goes with Endgame. And there's no way you can really go even further than that, but it seems like Marvel's trying to do that, and like, we got it with No Way Home. Don't get me wrong, I loved No Way Home and Far From Home and Shang-Chi. Like, obviously, like, Marvel still got a good track record going, but I will say this, like, a few months ago when I heard about, like, hey, Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'm excited, but I haven't really, like, there's other movies I've, like, been more excited for, because we've just been getting so much Marvel for, like, years now. But with the whole new concept of like the multiverse, we see in No Way Home and how like that's played out in this movie especially. Like we've seen there's characters that make appearances in Multiverse of Madness, albeit they're brief, but they're characters we've seen before, but this is the first time we've seen them in MCU movies. And there's just, the whole, like, concept of multiverse to me is just so interesting and so intriguing, and there's just so much potential they can do with this. And that, like, this movie definitely, like, rekindled my excitement for upcoming Marvel movies, and I give it big props for that. So yeah, Multiverse of Madness, I gotta say, I'm going for an 8 out of 10 stars. It's a really likable film. Me filming this video, I keep, like, bashing myself over this really stupid sunburn that I have. Now that, like, summer is basically, it's here, I gotta remind myself to keep wearing sunscreen, especially on my face. Well, yeah, thank you so much for watching. So, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or if you have Hulu like me, have you watched Crush? What did you think of that? I still have the student discount for, like Spotify and Hulu and for another, like, few weeks. So I'm really determined to finish the rest of regular show. I was hooked in that show, like that and Gumball and Adventure Time, like when I was in middle school. And I'm kind of like reliving my middle school memories with regular show right now. So I'm really determined to finish, like, later seasons before my account expires. But that's a subject for another video. Thank you so much for watching. I need sleep. Stay beastly.